Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my Shazam Fury of the Gods post-credit scene video. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. And careful for spoilers for the end of the movie if you haven't seen it yet, because we have to talk about everything. At the end of the movie, Shazam sacrifices himself to stop Calypso and return everything to normal on planet Earth. He's successful, but he's dead, so when they go back to the God Realm, this alternate dimension, they treat it like an alternate dimension. They bury him in the ground, and we get a big cameo from Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, who comes back to reignite the God Spark inside the staff of the wizard Shazam, or the staff of Atlas. Once she reactivates the staff, the wizard can use it to bring Billy back to life and restore life to the giant tree in this dimension. The whole idea is that the tree generates this magical field, which also gives back most of the gods their powers. He comes out of the ground in Shazam form. He'd been turned back into Billy after he lost his powers and died. He jokes about them burying him in the ground after only 2 minutes because it's only been a couple minutes since the post-credit scene, even though much longer had passed in universe. Like, it's only been a couple minutes since we saw that part of the movie where I died. He sees Wonder Woman is there, and they pay off all the jokes from earlier in the movie about him really liking Wonder Woman and wanting to go out with her, wanting to make out with her. This was in the promo that Warner Brothers released publicly. She jokes to him, "Just worry about saving the world, kid," and walks away smiling. And he's like, "Please, call me sometime."
God. Stick to saving the world, kid.
Wonder Woman also tells him to use the power of her father, Zeus, wisely, which is a big payoff on the source of all their powers, because one of the powers he has is the power of Zeus, which is where his lightning bolts come from. They're meant to be the exact same type of lightning bolts, the same exact energy that Zeus had. Wonder Woman is a demigod. She is the daughter of Zeus in the DCEU. So that qualifies her as a god in the DCEU, even though she's a demigod, technically. They end the movie back at their house, and they're all having dinner, and Thea says that she's also going to spend time on Earth with Freddie Freeman, like they're going to be going out as a couple now, and she'll just be enjoying life amongst humans, learning more about human culture. The wizard Shazam comes back and says that he's going to keep the staff for a good long while now. Like, I'll just keep it with me, just so nothing bad winds up happening. It says that he'd been in prison in the alternate dimension of the God Realm for so long that he's just going to spend time traveling the Earth. Over the credits, they play Elvis's Little Less Conversation, and the reference here, if you're not a big Elvis fan, is that Elvis, in real life, when he was growing up, was a huge fan of Captain Marvel Jr., Freddie Freeman's character, so he modeled his entire look, like the whole vibe, from Captain Marvel Jr., which they joke about during the movie when Freddie calls Billy Captain Every Powers Jr. That's why Elvis used the lightning bolt on his taking care of business pendant that he always wore, and why one of his jumpsuits was blue like this, like Freddie Freeman's classic costume. You have to remember that this is all happening a long time ago in the Golden Age when Elvis was still very young. That's how old the Captain Marvel characters are. But in the first post-credit scene, we see John Economos, Stephen A.G., and Amelia Harcourt, Jennifer Holland, who's now married to James Gunn, who is now the Kevin Feige of DC Studios, showing up after the events of Peacemaker Season 1 and the Suicide Squad movie. Also, she was in the Black Adam movie recently. Show up on Amanda Waller's orders to recruit Shazam to the Justice Society, and they mostly play it for laughs as a joke to follow up on the whole obsession that he has with Wonder Woman and being a joke on the Justice League name. Also making some Avengers Marvel references too, because James Gunn just came from the Marvel movies. John Economos and Amelia Harcourt start the scene walking to a remote location outside Philadelphia in the woods, with him complaining about his feet hurting. She makes fun of him for his shoes. That's a follow-up on the way that everybody always clowned on John Economos during Peacemaker Season 1 for being so pathetic, like dyeing his hair. They complain back and forth with each other about scaring Billy off, and Amanda Waller telling them that Shazam was super powerful, but he was kind of immature, so don't scare him off. He could be a huge asset to the team. That's a joke about him still being Billy. He's immature because he's still literally a little kid, despite the fact he's about to turn 18 during the movie, which in the United States is technically called the age of majority, where the law considers someone to be an adult and you can legally sign contracts yourself. You don't need your parents' permission to do anything. When they arrive at a rundown shack, there are words Speedy on the side here. Even though it's meant to be this old-timey gas station that's just been abandoned for a while, it's a reference to his super speed, which he references several times in the movies, also referencing the Flash. Like, there's another guy with a red suit and a lightning bolt on it that's way faster than me and way better. Which is canon. The Flash is meant to be faster than pretty much all the other characters in the DC universe that have some form of super speed, like Superman and Shazam. Shazam's speed is about the same as Superman's because the way their super speed works is that it's more like a function of their super strength, whereas the Flash uses the Speed Force, which allows him to break a lot of the natural laws of physics. When they arrive, he's been waiting for them, killing time by having fun using his lightning bolts to burst more bottles and soda machines, which is a callback to the Dr. Pepper joke in the first movie where he was using his powers to do all kinds of fun stuff and gets them a bunch of free soda. I hope they pay off this joke in future movies with him going up against the Dr. Pepper people. Like Dr. Pepper versus Shazam. It's like he's got some vendetta against Dr. Pepper, always blowing up Dr. Pepper cans. When they introduce themselves and say they're here to recruit him for a special team, they play it for another Wonder Woman Justice League joke where they only get half the sentence out, the word justice, and Shazam freaks saying yes 1,000 times yes because he wants to be on the Justice League so bad.
1,000 times yes!
They finish the sentence saying society, Justice Society, and it's almost like the air being let out of a balloon. Billy gets super pissed off at them, like, wait a second, aren't you here to recruit me to the team with Wonder Woman on it? I just want to be on the one with Wonder Woman. And she's like, no, we're the other team. We're like the B team. He goes on and on about wanting to be with Wonder Woman. John Economos makes fun of him for that. Why are you so obsessed with Wonder Woman, dude? And he starts arguing with them about how the name Justice Society is stupid because it's too similar to the Justice League name. Like, why would you name your team something just like the other team, even though they have no association with each other? Which is more of a joke on the classic comics naming convention because the Golden Age comics is where the Justice Society came from. Then many years later, during the Silver Age of comics, they created the Justice League with a bunch of different characters. And it wasn't until the modern age of comics, like years after that, that younger comic book artists tried to reconcile that backstory and continuity. They also make jokes about the naming conventions between Golden Age and Silver Age and all the continuity issues earlier in the film when Freddie Freeman starts coming up with all the different names. Like, I think we can come up with a better name. He calls himself Captain Everypowers, which is a play on Captain Marvel, the original Shazam name from the comics. Originally, it was just the wizard that was called Shazam. Billy was called Captain Marvel when he got his powers. And when Freddie Freeman calls Billy Captain Everypowers Jr., that's a play on Freddie Freeman's original comic book name, which was just Captain Marvel Jr. And the funny thing is, David Sandberg, the director, actually revealed that during this post-credit scene, they were actually supposed to have the Justice Society themselves show up to recruit Billy, Shazam, for the team, but there was some fiasco that happened behind the scenes long before James Gunn was hired for DC. Like, this happened really early in the process when they were still filming the movie. So their backup idea was to use the Peacemaker characters to accomplish the exact same scene, but it was going to play out relatively the similar way, but you would have had Hawkman and the other Justice Society characters here talking to Billy. Had it have been their characters, they also probably would have had more of a play on Billy not recognizing them, like, wait a minute, Hawkman, you're not on the Justice League, I thought you were here to recruit me for the Justice League. Shazam did join the Justice Society during JSA number 37, but that wasn't until 2002. Black Adam in the comics had a longer history with the Justice Society, and they just introduced the live-action Justice Society during the Black Adam movie. Even though there's all these questions about the James Gunn reboot, who's coming back, what's the Justice Society roster going to be when they come back? But the fact that they didn't change this post-credit scene in the movie makes it sound like James Gunn does intend on eventually paying this off. But the fact that they're recruiting him for the Justice Society and not the Justice League, I think is them just saying that if Zachary Levi Shazam comes back, he will not be on that first Justice League roster when they do a new version of the Justice League movie with a new roster of characters at the end of DC Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Then Billy makes a bunch of jokes about the alternate names for the Justice Society, which would be better. He mentions the Authority Society, which is a reference to the Authority movie that James Gunn is doing during DC Chapter 1. They're a Wildstorm team that they're bringing into the main DCU live-action continuity. The Code Society he mentions isn't a reference to anything, but then he drops a big Marvel reference saying the Avenger Society, like, ooh, I like that name for some reason.
I like that.
James Gunn literally just came from the Marvel Universe, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, to become the new Kevin Feige of DC movies. Then they cut to the second post-credit scene with Dr. Sivana and Mr. Mind. It's been 2 years since the events of the first Shazam post-credit scene with both of those characters and Dr. Sivana going into prison, which he jokes about. The camera zooms in on the drawings that he's done on the wall, killing Shazam. He's got this long beard, and Mr. Mind, who's voiced by the director, David Sandberg himself, who also had another on-screen cameo earlier in the movie as one of the random citizens killed by the monsters after they escaped. Sivana complains to Mr. Mind, asking him where he's been for the last 2 years, and Mr. Mind jokes that it takes him time to set plans in motion, which is also meant to be a joke about how long it's taken for them to pay off the last post-credit scene. Like, when are you actually going to pay off this scene? You set up all these big plans that we haven't heard about since then. With him yelling at Dr. Sivana to be patient, he's almost completed everything that he's needed to do to set things in motion. And starts joking that eventually he'll be able to fly, he'll be able to walk around, he'll be much bigger, which is another reference to Mr. Mind in the comics. and his original plan to conquer the Seven Realms of Magic, making him nigh invincible, controlling all magic in the universe, which is right out of the comics, and it's part of that post-credit scene from the first Shazam movie where he mentions that, like, the Seven Realms of Magic will be his.
The Seven Realms are about to be ours.
In the comics, Mr. Mind eventually evolves into his final boss form where he's huge, like he's giant size, he has wings, and he can move around really fast. So the idea is that instead of Shazam versus Black Adam in a potential third movie, these Shazam characters, should they continue in a third movie or come back, they'll cover the Mr. Mind Seven Realms of Magic storyline. The funny thing about that, though, is that Black Adam is a big part of that storyline. He winds up teaming up with Shazam to stop Mr. Mind. But The Rock had a huge falling out with DC after James Gunn was hired as the new president, and it sounds like he's not coming back to DC at all, so when Black Adam comes back, it'll be a completely different actor. And we also found out that the Shazam people offered The Rock a Black Adam cameo scene during Shazam Fury of the Gods, and he turned it down. So the way they're ending these post-credit scenes and setting up him joining the Justice Society and then doing the Seven Realms of Magic storyline, they want to let you know that they could continue this storyline in future movies. James Gunn is relatively open about that, like it could wind up happening, but a lot of that just depends, according to the DC people, on the box office for the movie. If you spotted any other references or Easter eggs in the post-credit scenes that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments and let me know when they do eventually bring the Shazam characters back, Black Adam character back, who do you want to be playing those characters? Do you want to see these ones come back or do you want them to just recast? I'm working on my full breakdown and Easter eggs for the entire movie. I'll talk more about Wonder Woman and all this and what the future of the Shazam characters are in the DC Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Everyone click here for that Shazam Fury of the Gods Wonder Woman scene. And click here for my Justice League Darkseid trailer that Zack Snyder just released. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.